experience of these encounters. She is here today to speak about these experiences and what motivated her to pursue her gift and author her book. That being said, the girl with no name and the author of The Dead Man Drinks, welcome to Movies and More.
Thank you, Stacy.
Well,
Glad to be here.
Well, it's our pleasure. You know, the first question that immediately comes to mind is how your gift of talking to the departed revealed itself to you.
Well, that started on a day I will never forget when my brother showed up at my house. Now, he was the kind of brother that, didn't show up too often. And I looked out the window. I saw his truck. I thought, oh my gosh, I can't believe it. What is he doing here? So I ran down the stairs and he had knocked on the door and comes in and he says, there's something I need to talk to you about. He had a newspaper in his hand. And he said, something is telling me that you need to go to this psychic fair, which I know a lot of you are probably thinking.
Now, when you say psychic fair, it's like how do you describe it?
It's a psychic, there might be mystics, aura mediums,
Okay,
tarot card readers, aura readers, which I didn't even know what all that was, but I had always been interested in knowing my future. I tend to fret a little bit and I just wanted to know everything was going to be okay. So I had an interest in this. So for whatever reason, he was adamantly, told intuitively that I needed to go to this.
So he had a vibe.
He had a vibe.
Okay.
Yes.
Got it.
Now, I want to mention my brother and I, Irish twins, only 11 months apart, no other siblings. So, we were pretty close. We probably kind of looked like twins, actually. So anyway, I'd gone to that psychic fair, followed his advice that following week. And it was just at a hotel next to Helen Fitzgerald's, harmless. So I go to this, and at that fair, I learned how to connect with the spirit guide. Being raised Catholic, 12 years of Catholic school, I knew what a guardian angel was. So I thought, okay, spirit guide. I have a guardian angel, and I didn't know I had the second one. So I learned how to connect with the spirit guide who could help me through life, guide me in the right directions. So within the book, it tells the story, and I don't want to spoil the story.
It's in the book.
But it's in the book. And so that's just how it started, which, as I mentioned in the book, this important detail that my brother is the one that led me to this comes full circle in the end of the book.
So really, it was almost by accident. It was just serendipity.
Yes.
He just comes by and says, hey, you need to go to this thing.
Yes.
And you said, I'll do it. Right?
And I had actually prayed to God many times, dear God, if I could please just be psychic, that would be such a wonderful gift.
So it was a desire of yours.
A desire to know my future.
Helped to fulfill.
Yes.
By introducing you to this event.
Exactly.
Okay.
But It was my wish that if I could know my future, if I could just be psychic, I had actually prayed to God. But God had a different plan, which, a lot of us can relate to that.
Sure.
You think you want one thing, but your path goes a different direction.
Yeah.
So I guess, his plan was for me to connect people to others that have died. I've learned I can say I'm an expert in the field of death, I guess, because I've created my own language almost with the other side. Now, and I can very easily hear them.
What's interesting about that is this. All the times, and in the book, correct me if I'm wrong, as I recall, there are 80 encounters that you had that are expressed in the book, correct? Mm-hmm. All right.
Correct.
Okay. Now, the common thread with each one of these is they contact you.
They contact me.
So it's not like, like you're out there, just all of a sudden, for some reason, you become, I'm going to use this word, I don't know if I'm using it right. You're like the medium.
Right.
You're the conduit.
Actually, I'm a small, but yeah, I'm a medium. But
I'm a 44 regular.
A conduit, yes.
Two guys, they go to see the Pope,
mm-hmm.
and they come back, and the sister says, so how was the Pope? 44 regulars. They were tailors.
I love it. Hey, there's a story in the book about a tailor.
You got
Uncle Patsy.
See, we're on the
It's chapter 36.
Okay, chapter 36.
Yes, you must read it. You must see things. This is the kind of thing that happens. Things like this happen all the time, synchronicities, but the average person just doesn't pick up on it. So when someone dies, your relative, your pet, there are 9 pet stories, by the way, in the book. And they're trying to give us messages, but think about ESP. If your friend and your, try to send each other a message, like, okay, let's each think of something and send it to each other. It's very difficult. But so this is what they're doing. They're trying to give us messages, but we don't pick up on it. But now you mentioned a Taylor.
Yes.
And I just, before the show started, I said, let's see. That's why I brought the bell. Uncle Patsy. Hey, Uncle Patsy.
Right.
So I said, let's see who shows up. Who wants to be talked about in the show today out of these 80 stories?
Gotcha.
You just brought up a Taylor. The entire chapter, he was a tailor on the East Coast, an Italian gentleman. And he had much to say in comparing life to a well-fitted suit, shoes, and such. So again, I don't want to spoil the story, but yeah. So
But as far as do you ever really know? For example, like I gotta ask a question. Okay, so I've had the opportunity to go to Edgar Casey's museum
Mhm.
in Hopkinsville, Kentucky, and he was known as the sleeping prophet.
mhm.
And he would put himself in a kind of a self-induced sleep state, if you will.
Right.
Okay, and during that period that he's in that sleep state, he's seeing stuff kind of like futuristic, almost like I guess Notre Dame. It would be a good
Right.
comparison. So the obvious question is, what mental state are you in when you get those communications from the other side?
Okay, so it started, I mean, I could clearly hear immediately, so I guess it was a natural gift. But then I did go to a school to learn about dreaming. So I went to this crash course, basically, to learn how to interpret dreams. So then I started receiving things in my dreams, but it was more pertaining to, at the time I was trading stocks. And I would actually see the ticker symbol for the stock to trade the next day. So what I was doing is I was traveling a little bit into the next day. I was seeing which stock was going to do well that day. And I would wake up and I would trade that stock. So I had a little bit of afterlife insider inside info, if you would, might say. But I wasn't not like
I gotta
Edgar.
ask you, not that I gamble anymore,
Yeah.
because I've been through like the rehab thing and
Yeah.
so forth. But do you have any horses that you might know about?
I might
Okay,
I
I'm
might
kidding,
see
I'm
I might
kidding.
see the name.
I was
Yeah.
just, but go ahead. I don't want to steal your
So,
thunder.
and I know a lot of people ask, like, oh, if a person's psychic, why don't they know the lottery numbers? But that's not how it works.
No.
So anyway, I'm not like Edgar in the sense of like within dreaming. I'm completely awake and I can just hear things. I can just hear things very clearly, and I don't know how to explain it. So I guess it's called clairaudient or clairsentient. I could sense someone around me. So now looking back to my childhood, I was always afraid of the ghost in the room, under the bed. I had to be under the covers. I couldn't have my leg even sticking out. I felt like somebody was going to grab my leg, which I think a lot of children are afraid of, the ghost in the room or the boogeyman or whatever you might call it. This may go all the way back to I had a sense of someone there. It's back to childhood. So
really, I guess your personal sense of an ability or a desire
mhm.
really kind of manifests itself going back to where you said your brother
Right.
showed up in the driveway.
Right.
You were ready for that experience, weren't you?
I guess I was ready, but I was unaware that I was ready. But I did. I thought. I mean, I thought it was a blast. Honestly, I mean, it's super fun. Like I love. I basically live with spirits and ghosts in an 1800 Victorian, which is a setting for the story in the book. So I love it. I love spirits. I love ghosts because I have the ability to block out. I don't let any bad entities or anything like that in. It's just people I know. Anyone that I know who dies appears to me sometimes within hours of dying. Most of my friends, any of their relatives who die, appear to me just to give me a message. And this goes into another story of who's picking you up. So there's a chapter called Who's Picking You Up. And basically it's just when a person dies, they just want their loved ones to know they made it somewhere. So let's, an analogy, you're going on vacation. You're going to travel and you're going to let Connie know, hey, I made it, landed safely. I'll check in with you. I'll be home in 3 days. Okay, that's what they're wanting. That's what they want to do.
So it's like a destination verification.
Destination, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
So, forgot to ring the bell for Jimmy.
Oh God.
He's the guy behind the story. Who's picking me up? But so they just want to stop by and let me know, and they give me a little insight. And within this book, they give a wisdom quote. They're not just stopping by. They want to give us a quote now from their perspective, looking down at Earth. You know, we're all just trying to figure out what's going on, just waking up every day, trying to go through challenges in life. And from their perspective, they give their wisdom quotes of what they now see. And everything, the one thing they do say is everything makes perfect sense. When you die, everything in your entire life will make perfect sense.
We've often heard my life past, my past all came to at one point when I thought I was dying. It's like I saw my past.
Right.
Okay, so it was like a reflection.
Right.
Okay, so is that kind of what you're saying?
You do see a review. Now this gets towards the end of the book and then leading into the second book. But it will talk about we each get a life review, which can be a little scary. I was a little afraid myself because you have to review everything you've done in life.
Right.
When you cussed out the guy driving because he didn't make the left turn. When that poor guy's just,
Right.
maybe he can't see very well.
That you went off on.
Yeah.
Right.
You see everything, but you also see that you're in the grocery store and you said hello to someone and it made their day because they maybe were having a bad day. Maybe they were feeling depressed and oh my gosh, that person just said hello to me. So you also see that as well. The most intricate, minor details that you might not even think about that meant so much to someone. So anyway, we see all of that when you die. And that's why, see that there's a character in the book called the Hidden Heckler. He's the hidden heckler. He's the heckler, like, at a stand-up comedian show. He's the heckler yelling things out, or at the ball game, yelling out to the pitcher.
Right.
So
stuff.
Yes, but he is a reactive listener throughout the book. He keeps the book light. He keeps it a little bit fun, despite the topic. And he even says, like, some of you might be afraid. Some of you might want to read that twice because you have time to change your ways. Now, unfortunately, I think probably the people buying and reading the book are good people, not the ones.
What do you think people are looking for when they read your book, or what have they said to you? Does it meet or exceed your expectations? What exactly are they searching for with your book?
So I had asked my core group of friends at the beginning, what do you wonder when someone dies? And the questions were so basic to me. I mean, I was actually floored. Do they still love me? Of course they do. They love you even more. Now that they see from the other side, they can even see things that maybe they didn't like about you, but now it all makes sense to them. They love you even more. Can they hear me? Yes, they can hear you. And as a matter of fact, if you mention their name, that is an invitation for them to basically sit in on the conversation. So I've had a lot of people, oh, can you tell so-and-so that I miss them? Well, no, they just heard you. They just heard you say it. You don't have to go through me to say that. And a lot of people will say as well, oh, I didn't get to say this before they died. Or,
there's some regret.
What you do is you just speak to them. You can even just say it in your head. They can still hear you. So nobody ever has to feel regret. So the one thing that I've been told over and over is there's let go of all guilt. So let's say a person's at the hospital and they're going to die, within you don't know when. And you've been there 5 days. You finally go home to take a shower, right? You're like, okay, I'm going to go home and take a shower and I'm going to come right back. And they die when you're gone. Okay, that person feels guilt. I wasn't there when they died. No, you weren't supposed to be there. Because sometimes whoever that person was that left, it was too hard for the person dying to let go with that person standing right there.
Interesting.
So you know what I mean? So
sure.
You weren't supposed to be there. It was too hard for that person to leave with you standing there.
I've heard that happen.
Yeah, they say let go. So everyone out there, let go of all guilt pertaining to anyone's death. So even a pet, sometimes like I've had to take a pet to, be put to sleep or whatever. And I didn't like that, having to make the decision. Wondered, could they have lasted a little longer? Did I do the right thing? And the pets say the same thing. You wouldn't have done it if it wasn't the right time.
Right.
So, which by the way, I do have to interject here.
Please.
My dog, Buster Brown.
Buster
His
Brown.
story is in the book. His story is called Brownie a la mode.
I said it one more time.
His name is Buster Brown, and I used to call him Brownie.
Okay.
So the story in the book is titled Brownie a la mode.
A la
And
mode.
he speaks to me in a childlike manner, but he actually in a poetic form, rhyming. He was in my dream last night for the first time. I actually saw him, because what happens when you're sleeping, and I know a lot of people out there can relate to this,
Sure.
whether it's a pet or a person. If someone appears to you in a dream who has died, that is an actual visit. So you meet them, you meet halfway, you go up, they come down. Your spirit, as you're sleeping, can travel, and they come halfway to meet you. But I saw him in my dream last night, just like if he's running through the door right here. I went up, I was able to pet him. He was one of those dogs that could eat, all day long. So I went to get him some treats, and I was feeding him treats, and it was interesting that he said, "No, I'm full." So that was interesting to me. It was profound because he was never full here. He would eat, you drop a crumb and he's eating off the floor in 2 seconds. But he's showing me that he's full, like over there, like he's fulfilled. So there's a lot of things, messages like that within the book that leaves it up to the reader to determine what does that exactly mean? Because the spirits, I don't like to call them like spirits, like scary spirits or anything, but the souls of our loved ones.
Right.
They want us to work. They want us to think. There's cryptic clues throughout the book. There's like what they see now, especially someone that died a long time ago. Everything's just handed to people now. We can Google, use that. Within the snap of our finger, we have directions.
AI.
Yeah,
Right.
we have directions. We have this. No, they're like, no. You have to work. Use your brains. So there are so many mysteries throughout this book, including the mystery of my brother.
Now, to be clear, your brother's life was taken unexpectedly.
Right.
But to be clear, he was murdered, correct?
I believe he was murdered.
Okay.
But it's yet, was it murder or mishap? And that's why I actually asked the reader to help me figure out these clues, because he does leave me clues of what happened, because it's a complete mystery, unsolved murder is what I call it. But I don't know. There was no investigation because it happened in Mexico. So that's why it was so important that he began this whole thing, so that I had the ability to connect. And then he was killed, and I had the ability to connect with him. And then he's the reason behind this book, because he's brought me the spirits and souls over the last 20 years.
So did that help to give you closure with his passing? This whole experience?
I feel like the luckiest girl on earth, because the fact that I could still communicate with him after he was physically gone, versus, oh, he died. Oh, well, maybe someday I'll see him when I die. Maybe, I don't even know. I don't know how it all works. He gave me so much clarity, and he was the type of guy, if he could, he's going to sneak you that answer across the,
Right.
He's going to sneak you the answer.
Right.
He's that kind of guy that's going to figure out how to kind of work, because there's rules over there. He can't just come out and tell me, John Smith, killed me, and here's how he did it. Like,
Right.
There's rules. They can't do things like that. We have to live our own life. We have to figure things out, and
They
can't just give us every single answer that we're looking for. Like, they say no demands, no commands. I can't just ask them questions. So getting back to what you said before, I basically feel like I work for the other side. People don't book readings with me. I can probably hear
Nor do
things.
you solicit those.
No, I don't.
Right,
'Cause
okay.
I've actually never been paid a penny,
Understood.
because
No.
I'm working for people there,
Right. Okay.
So they come to me, and then I have to match it with the living person. And a lot of times I might hear something while I'm sitting right here with
So
you.
you're kind of like a spirit broker, if you will.
Ex-
Exactly
I
what
love
you're
it.
doing.
Yeah.
Okay.
I love it.
That's
Yeah.
what you do.
But these stories are so intricate, and you could never make these stories up. Nobody could ever write these stories.
I had the pleasure of looking at them.
Yeah.
Over the last several weeks, we knew we were going to do the show, and I got to tell you, if someone gets their hands on this book, I guarantee that there will be something in one of those stories that they can relate to with probably one of their friends or relatives or what have you.
Absolutely.
It was just It was really touching because I found myself laughing and crying
Yeah.
and saying, "Oh my gosh, this is so." I can relate to this.
Mhm.
I mean, you did a great job with those stories.
Can I tell a little bit about how that happened?
Absolutely.
Okay,
by all
so
means.
the reason I'm anonymous, I mean, I'm the girl with no name.
Yep.
I'm a character in the book. There's only 3 living characters. Tommy, who's the guy, my consort, as I call him,
Mhm.
who we lived together in the 1800s Victorian. He played an important role
Mhm.
because he's this old world builder, master at his, craft. And we renovated this dilapidated Victorian 5 years ago.
Now, about what circle was that? 1800s,
1800s, yeah.
1880. I think
Yeah,
you said. Okay.
1880s.
All right. Okay.
So once we originally bought the home to flip it, and then we were immediately cast under the spell of this home. After just days, we said, no, we're not leaving the home. We're here for a purpose. We're renovating this home. We're going to live here.
So to be clear, it wasn't a money pit. It was something that, or maybe it started out like that.
It was dilapidated. I mean, cobwebs, so chandeliers with one bulb, just it was not plumbing that didn't work. But people have been living there.
Well, I've been there.
Yeah.
Just so our audience can know, it is an absolutely beautiful house.
Thank you.
I mean, well, here, let me say it's home because you made it your home.
Yes.
And this home actually it's not only home to you, but it's home to some of the entities that communicate with
yeah.
you. I mean, I know we were at your place one night, and you said you just had this really feeling. I said, well, what's wrong? And she said, well, it was like somebody's knocking at the door, if you will.
Right.
I mean, spiritually.
Right.
I'm using a metaphor, but that's precisely what happened. Yeah. But that house just has, I guess, primarily because it's so old. And
Right.
you had told me the story, which, if you'll share it with us real quick, the person that actually was in that house at the very beginning,
Mhm.
tell me about that person.
Okay. So Leander Stone, which I love his name,
Okay.
Leander Stone. He's the man who had the home built originally. He was a grain broker here in St. Louis. So he was in his 30s when he had the house built. So he thought, people automatically perceive an old home as having a ghost. And at first, I didn't really think much about it, but because we weren't living in the home, we were living in our RV in the back driveway because the home was we tore down everything. So it was not livable for a good year. So he thought what happens is kind of like an internet, like if you've ever looked up your home, like a home you've lived in, and you say, oh, who lives there now? Or what did it sell for? They're still interested if it was a home they were attached to. So he got an alert that there's new occupants in his home. So he looks down, imagine him looking down, and he sees dumpsters and dumpsters full of debris coming out, plumbing, everything's being ripped out. And he's thinking, they're destroying my home. So we had started to have trips and falls and, 14 to be exact. And just things were happening within that house. So I had called on my brother, Greg, to help and said, can you help me with the situation? Like somebody's clearly not happy that we're here. So my brother actually meets Leander Stone on the other side.
Went to bat for you.
Huh?
He went to bat for you.
He went to bat for us, yes.
Yeah.
And lets him know we're renovating his home. We're restoring it. So then all of a sudden I was able to hear Leander Stone speaking in his 1800s lingo. And he becomes a character in the book.
We're coming up on our first break.
Okay.
And I want to make sure that we discuss when you come back. You shared with me some experiences that have occurred in that beautiful, beautiful home, like objects moving for no apparent reason. And it's just like you put something in position A, and then X amount of time later, there's someplace else.
Right.
And doggone good well, you or your partner Tom didn't move them. So that's kind of like the physical aspect of the other side that's communicating, but it's almost like they're kids playing games with you, right? I mean, that's what I'm about to.
Yeah.
So we'll want to talk about that.
Okay.
And I think that's what's so interesting is that you've been able to kind of separate one from the other as far as what's maybe real about the other side doing it, or maybe I'm being forgetful. But when we come back, we'll certainly be talking more about that.
Sounds good.
Jewels on Hampton in St. Louis Hills is paying some of the highest prices on gold, silver, diamonds, semi-precious colored stones, coins, flatware, and fine watches on site. Jewels on Hampton is a premier jeweler featuring Alvanza's jewel art designs with an exquisite selection of diamonds, semi-precious stone jewelry, and vintage watches. Their expert design team can restyle your jewelry to today's contemporary style. They also do jewelry and watch repair. Need extra cash? Jewels on Hampton is paying some of the highest prices on gold, silver, diamonds, semi-precious colored stones, coins, flatware, and fine watches. Bring in your collectibles and clocks, sports memorabilia, and figurines too. Jewels on Hampton, 4506 Hampton, just 3 blocks south of Chippewa. Call them at 314-752-5000. 314-752-5000. Jewels on Hampton.
El Potro Restaurant and Market, located at 6920 Manchester Avenue, 1 block east of McCausland, offers the finest variety of Mexican and Central American groceries and goods. El Potro Restaurant serves authentic Mexican and Central American cuisine, including daily specials, not to mention the best horchata and tastiest margaritas in St. Louis. Open 7 days a week. El Potro, 6920 Manchester Avenue, 1 block east of McCausland.
The United States has a strong tradition of welcoming newcomers and refugees. The Welcome Corps is a new service opportunity for Americans inspired to welcome those seeking freedom and safety and in turn help strengthen their own communities. Welcome Corps is a public-private partnership that is inspired by what Americans represent to so many around the world, a beacon of hope and refuge. All it takes is a helping hand. Are you ready to learn more? Contact the International Institute of St. Louis at info@iistl.org or call 314-773-9090. That's info@iistl.org or call 314-773-9090.
And welcome back to Movies and More, as we've been talking with the author of The Dead Man Drinks with The Girl with No Name. Now, just before we went to break, we were going to talk about the experiences that you've had at your 19th century home with objects mysteriously moving from one place to another.
Yes.
And you felt that that was the other side. Maybe playing some like little games with you or whatever, just letting you know, hey, I'm here kind of thing. So pick up from there and tell us about that.
Yeah, they think it's fun to move things around on us, keys, and, it kind of plays tricks on your mind. Sleight of hand, you look to the left, they're moving something on the right. Now, you don't actually ever see the object sliding across the table. I don't know what these ways that they do this, but it's clear. For instance, so I'm just going to mention another chapter. Chapter 35 is Order Something Italian, with an entire Italian family appeared to me. The father, the brother, Johnny, Uncle Moon, his mom appeared to me when she was under, she was having heart surgery. She didn't end up living, but she gave me one message while she was unconscious, and she did end up living. That was a good thing. Then fast forward, Paul and I reconnected when the book came out because, he read the story about his family. He said, well, since then, my brother, Tony, has passed away in 2017. He said he can move things. Now, he was a bigger guy, so he has a strong energy. So your energy here on Earth matches. If you're a quiet person here, you're not going to move objects. You might not even appear to someone. Anyway, Tony DeRazio, wanted his name mentioned, and he can move things. So Paul was telling me, I said, well, shoot, Tony. I said, Paul, do you mind if Tony stops by the Victorian? Can he move something over here? Let's see. Not to challenge him, but, let's just see if he's up for it. Not long after that, Tommy was sitting in his chair, big heavy bar stool. He said it moved 4 inches to the left, 4 inches to the right. He thought I was standing behind him, moving his chair. He looked over his shoulder. I'm not there. I'm out in the yard with our dog, Coconut.
So this Tony
DeRazio
was there
in spirit, could somehow now Tom.
But he couldn't physically be seen, is what you're saying.
He could not physically be
Right,
seen.
okay.
Although I have seen 2 spirits in human form.
Really?
Stories in the book, But anyway, back to Tony DeRosa. He was able to move that chair while Tommy was sitting in it. There's no other explanation. There's absolutely nobody else was in the kitchen. And other things, he's moved objects. He's moved my sunglasses. He's, and he continues to move objects almost every weekend at his brother's house. So it's kind of interesting. But the average person, the average spirit, I don't think has the energy to do that.
I've got to ask you, what has generally been, in your opinion, it's probably overall, it's going to be different opinions, but what has been the response to your book? I mean, I know when someone's lost someone close to them,
Right.
they're searching or looking for any kind of help, understanding how that other person has gone on or whatever. I mean, do you get that kind of sincere kind of response
Yes.
as a result of that?
So I'm actually astonished and, extremely happy because people are like, it's bringing them closure. It's bringing them peace. It's bringing them understanding. It's helping them possibly understand why somebody young died. Why did this, so it explains a lot of like, when we're born, we're not guaranteed to live to 100 years old. I don't know whoever thought of that. Maybe it's just a statistic that an insurance company came up with, but we're not guaranteed the order of death in a family, let's say. But for instance, when my grandmother, she lived over 100. She was living when my brother was killed. So it's not only my parents had to suffer the loss of their son, but my grandmother, her grandson, that doesn't normally happen. So, I think the story, the other side explains to me as best they can how maybe to explain to, a person still living, like we can't, they said, do not ask the question why. We cannot ask the question why, because it's all in God's plan. So within this book, I wanted to mention, I do not talk about religion because I believe that's everybody's choice, but I do talk about God's infinite intelligence. So God's intelligence is so far beyond the human mind that we simply cannot comprehend death. So, within this book, I try to keep it light with a little bit of humor, like I said, from the hidden heckler. And I want to mention one person. So my friend Therese, her brother Jeff, this girl and I have a lot in common. Her brother had also tragically died just unexpectedly. And he was a guitar player. He was able to put guitar picks in their pockets. Their family was finding guitar picks everywhere. So he's one of these like Tony DeRosa that was able to place objects. But her mother's still living. She's 92, I believe. And she's an avid reader. And she was looking forward to reading this book. And I was a little bit cautious, like, Therese, I'm afraid to ask, but did your mom like the book? And she said that her mom closed the book and said, well, that was fun. And I thought that is the best compliment that I could ever receive, because if I can turn, or whoever guided me with these stories can turn death, which is something we all experience, and have her say that was fun, where it's actually an uplifting book. It doesn't bring you down when it's a sad topic.
Well, when we think of other authors that maybe dealt with that in a certain way or another, one of the really great authors of our time in America, Hemingway.
Yes.
And I know you're a big fan of Hemingway, and he. Well, when I say fan, you're aware of him, is what
the
you say.
The spirit of Ernest Hemingway, I will be so bold to announce, has guided me through this book. Now, I know you're shaking your head, you're scoffing. Yeah, right. Sure he did.
No.
Okay, but you have to read the story. But Ernest Hemingway has a connection to St. Louis, Missouri.
Yes, he does. He had 3 wives here.
There you go. And there's a whole story leading into this.
And he paid alimony to every one of them.
Here we go. The chapter is actually called, Did You Say Hemingway? Because I just knew the reader is going to, oh, sure. Yeah. She talked to Ernest Hemingway. Well, yes, I did. And if you read the story, it makes perfect sense. And his quote, in order to write about life, you must have lived it, which is exactly what this book is, because this entire book, I want to make this perfectly clear, was written by people from the other side, not people that wrote it while they were living and are now dead. This book was channeled. I don't even like to use the word channeled, but I sat at the typewriter. I could hear them I typed their story. I could feel their presence standing behind me, recalling a story, let's say from 15 years ago. Oh, Durazio has come back up. Or forgot I'm supposed to mention Sam and Lee, my favorite characters. Their title of their chapter 34, Down to Earth and Back to the Tavern, which in St. Louis, the beer town.
Right,
You gotta
Surehead.
love that story.
You bet.
Okay, they've actually become very famous on the other side because of their story. Anyway, they come up, they stand behind me as if you were hovering over me, but I can feel their presence and they're guiding me as I type, delete, reword that, this, that. Okay, I can also feel their emotions because think about it. If you die and you have the ability to come back to Earth and someone can feel your presence, I will start crying sometimes. I don't really cry very easily, but I will start crying and I know it's their emotion, it's their tears, not really mine.
You're feeling that.
I'm feeling their emotion.
Yeah.
So they're basically like, I'm basically giving people a chance to experience Earth again. So part of the Dead Man Drinks, there's a whole story behind that about having a drink. And going back to the order something Italian, they can actually experience eating again by just smelling the food. Okay, so if you're cooking, everyone go out and cook your beloved, departed, their favorite meal, because they can actually sense, like think about it when you're cooking. Sometimes I'll cook something, I'm like, wow, I'm not even hungry now because I just smelled it for the last hour as I was cooking it. Same thing. So I've learned so many like quirky information from them that I personally have never heard before.
When you travel and you go to different places or
Mhm.
buildings or environments, and what comes to my mind, because we're all from St. Louis, the Limp Mansion.
Right.
Do you ever pick up any vibes, if you will, from the Limp Mansion or someplace
I
like
did
that?
go there one day because the boyfriend I had at the time, we went to the Prohibition exhibit
Right.
at the museum, and
Sure.
we thought, gosh, we're so excited that we're not in Prohibition. We're going to go to the Limp Mansion and have a drink. And they weren't technically open, but we were able to go into the bar. There was a wedding party that was there,
Sure.
and that was it.
Mhm.
Just the two of us and like one employee. And I walked around. I actually tried to connect, but I really didn't. I can't say I felt anything. I mean, I went in each room where all these suicides, but I think, honestly, those spirits, those ghosts are so tired of people trying to, people go there a lot to feel the ghost. I didn't connect with them at all.
We're talking with the girl with no name, the author of The Dead Man Drinks, and she's been sharing with us her personal experiences with communicating with the other side. One of the things that I probably haven't asked you, and maybe I should have.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really want to get that personal, but with this special gift and these things that you do, and you're obviously on call, if you will, all the time for
Right.
those vibes to come from the other side.
Right.
How does this affect you personally, day to day, and your relationships with other people, and particularly your life partner, Tom? I mean, he has to be thinking he's sharing you with a lot of other people
yeah.
that aren't from here.
Oh,
kind of thing.
Well, I can't believe I almost forgot. The Phantom Sergeant, his father, his dad is I call it there's three phantoms there. I call it the resident spirits. His father was an integral part of the story. He gives great life advice. His dad has passed away, but I could clearly hear him during our entire renovation. He was more like the foreman on the job, overseeing the job, watching out for safety, and he would guide me, and I was doing a lot of labor on the job that I probably shouldn't have been as a girl my size, but he would guide me on how to lift things or how, like, I could clearly hear his dad, but he was a sergeant in the Army. So he had a very strong personality. Now his story is very important as well with his relationship to Tommy, because the father-son relationship, which a lot of people, have good relationships, not so good. My dad was hard on me, same with mother. So he gives a very important message that I think many, many readers can relate to, because now he sees his son from a different perspective, watching him. He knew his son, like Tommy's unbelievable. He's an old world builder. Like I can't even describe.
I've seen the work that you've
what
done in a house, the marble, the intricacies.
It's
I mean, the whole business. Which brings me to this point. I must ask you this: I know there's been some talk, and I think you're getting pretty doggone close to doing a reality show that you're actually talking about filming at your residence.
Yes, it will have to be filmed there.
Yeah, and just to tell our audience, this home, as we said before, was built. I think was around 1885,
Something like
right,
that.
right
yeah.
around in that
It's
age.
quite, yeah.
And so the journey that you undertook with Tom to restore it to as close as you could to its original facade, if you will,
Right.
but yet you incorporate obviously the the new conveniences and so forth. But I have been to that house, and I got to tell you, it is absolutely gorgeous, and it will make an excellent backdrop.
And it's not just the house. I mean, there's a lot of beautiful houses out there, but it's the energy in the house, because it's a portal. It's a portal for the spirits to easily enter, partly because of me, because I allow them. I mean, I wouldn't basically invite them, where other people don't, picture a spirit like, hey, I'm over here, but the person's just oblivious, doesn't know they're there. Where I'm like, okay, well, come on. So like, I actually, when I have a friend come over, I like send out a note like, okay, friend, you can bring your +1 in spirit. Bring a spirit friend with you. And I will hear messages from that person. So it's the energy in the house, plus the resident spirits. And so my friend Kelly said it best. We had a party, maybe 15, 20 people. And she said, no, it feels like there's 80 people here. Like, excuse me, trying to squeeze through the aisle, to get through the other side, because it feels like there's many more people, because there are spirits of people there. So imagine a party of 20, and each of them are bringing relatives or friends who have passed away. I mean, these parties are unbelievable. Like, they are so much fun. And I comment on this a lot. Like, it's like the Hotel California. You can check in, and I say, but you can never leave. That's not exactly their lyric, but it's similar.
Right.
But people come there. They don't want to leave. The reason they don't want to leave is because there's spirits around them of their loved ones.
They feel very comfortable.
And it's super fun, because people on the other side are having a blast. Like, they honestly are. They're having a great time. So that's why when someone passes away, I'm selfless in a sense that I understand they're having a great time. They're at a trip to the Bahamas with their best friends. I can't feel sad. I mean, I might feel sad for myself, but for them, I feel, wow, they made it. They made it through life, and now they're on the other side, surrounded by family, friends, and have to mention again, their pets. The pets are waiting for you. And I have a lot of pets come around me through my little dog, Coconut. She's this like really gentle soul, just a little tiny Yorkie. And I think the spirits of animals are around her, because I'll look in my kitchen and I feel like I see a dog. I look, I'm like, wait, she's over there, so spirits of animals come. My dog Buddy, he gives a very important message in the book. He has his own chapter, and my other friends' pets have come to me, but trying to think if there's anything else. I know we're like getting short on time here, but I just wanted to say, this book is like no other book you will read, because it is actually narrated by my brother. Narrates from his perspective. Leander Stone.
To be clear, your brother has passed away.
My brother's passed away.
Right, okay.
Yes. He narrates looking down like, there's my sister. Oh, she's talking to Stacy. Like he see, oh, there's my sister. She's at Filoni's again, which, by the way, if you're from St. Louis and you know a Filoni's restaurant, I have had 4 or 5 stories. Some of them are in the second book, happen at Filoni's, because it's a century-old restaurant bar.
Right.
Excellent food. Again, the Italians step in. I don't know what it is with the Italians, but they're strong energy. But things have happened in.
I think it's a garlic. I'm pretty sure.
Yes, it might be. Things happen at Filoni's, but I used to go there. It was my favorite bar for years. I used to go there on Thursday.
Right.
Anyway, okay, so and then Leander Stone, the ghostly tycoon, he becomes a narrator again, watching who is this girl in my house. So the girl with no name, me. He's watching me in his house, and I think about this all the time. Like, I am walking on the exact steps that Leander Stone walked on. I am sleeping in the same room that Leander Stone, this man from the 1800s. Because of him, there is the Victorian. Because of my brother, dying, there are stories from other souls. Because of Tommy, the home is renovated. Like everybody plays a part. And then I have my friend, you know, you always have to have the best friend. That my friend Lillian, she comes over and she's one of the only 3 living characters. So Lillian, Tommy, and myself are the only 3 living main characters in the book. And I recount stories to her and within the Victorian. And we're always drinking wine and champagne and, you know.
Well, you know, you were mentioning before about, you know, kind of coming to grips with someone that has recently passed away. I grew up in it was kind of a mixed neighborhood, but we had a lot of Irish.
I'm Irish.
Well,
So is Tommy.
Shirley McGarland.
So is Tommy.
I
Yeah.
see you on the same page then.
Okay.
But at any rate, the most beautiful thing that I guess I've ever experienced was the camaraderie of an Irish wake. I mean,
Oh, right.
I mean, it's like they're happy because that person has left the bounds of this evil world and all the strife, and they know that person is in a better place.
Right.
And I think what you've done with your book and your expression is to validate that.
Yes.
You said, listen, nobody wants to die. Nobody's in a big hurry. But if you do, it's not to be feared. It's
DNR, do not resuscitate.
do not
I have no fear.
Exactly.
I have no fear of death anymore.
Right.
It's
Well,
very comforting.
I was a corpsman in the Navy, and talked to a lot of doctors that had experiences with people that were injured, that were maybe close to death, or like you said, the near death experience.
Right.
And people that were on the operating table would come back and say, I saw, Doc, you doing this,
Right.
or I saw you doing that.
Right.
So it was this out of body experience that was actually real. And it wasn't just like, hey, it happened one time, but it was very consistent
Right.
with wounded people during the Vietnam War.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, and you heard these stories one after another. And after a while, I got to thinking, man, I don't know that I really fear death or whatever, but, as a corpsman, and I saw a lot of people, go away. It was you're trying to come to grips.
Right.
Why is there war? Why are people dying? What happens when you die?
Right.
What
happens when you die? I'm glad you said that, because that's basically what this answers.
Well, and what I'm saying is that you have done a beautiful job in making the case for the next realm, the next level.
Right.
And I think that's a beautiful thing.
Thank you.
So many people have tried to maybe express that, and I know every religion, whatever it is, they try to deal with that subject because, let's face it, Act 1, Act 2, you're born, you live, you die. It's a 3-act play.
Right.
I mean, that's what Shakespeare said, right? Well, that fourth act, that fourth dimension, that has got to be something to do with the death experience. But death in what sense? I mean, if that person or that entity is real and you're experiencing something,
Right.
then I mean, can you really say that they're dead? I mean,
No, they don't really like to be called dead.
well, that's what I'm saying.
No.
That's really not applicable to that definition.
Can I just say, so
Please.
my uncle was very funny guy, but very dry sense of humor, quiet guy. But when he spoke, he listened. That kind of guy. Okay. Never thought he would appear to me, but he did. Within, my cousin had texted me that he died, and within a moment, my head turned to the left, my head turned to the right, because he had heard about the house, but he had never seen it. He said, out of all the rooms in this whole entire house, my favorite room is the booze vault. Okay,
Really?
well, that was funny to me because my aunt and him drank, I think, Manhattans or Old Fashions, or both, I forget. They'd have one or two a night.
Sure.
So it made sense to me that he said, but that was like that's my favorite. And I thought, wow, that is a room, Well, then a year passed by, and my cousin said, I can't believe it's been a year since, my dad died. And I instantly heard, it's been the best year of my life. Now that's a very dry, profound statement.
Yes.
it's been the best year of his life. Now, he had a great life, don't get me wrong, but the year that he's been dead has been the best year of his life. See,
Really?
they're still living. See, that's
Yeah.
why they don't like to be called dead.
Right.
The spirit is still living. They're just
Oh,
not confined to a
Okay,
human body.
to us that they're at this level, they've gone on, they've died. But yet you're saying that it's a continuation of the energy existence, and so they want to take death out of the equation. We're not dead. We're here.
Yeah, they just don't really like to be called dead.
Well, I
know.
could, right. Okay.
But the dead man drinks. I was given that title,
Right.
and so
I like the title. It conjures up a lot of thoughts. You know?
and for non-alcoholic drinkers, there is a story by a guy named Morris who was very loud and clear. He was against drinking. So this doesn't necessarily mean drinks alcohol. The dead
Right.
man drinks. What does he drink? Does he drink coffee? Does he drink water? I don't want him to drink soda because I'm also given information.
Bottled water.
Yes. Well, not in plastic bottles, but I'm also given a lot of information about health. You know,
Sure.
I was told 20 years ago, throw your microwave out. So there's just different things I'm told by higher level beings because they can, like, again, look down and go, oh, this is, nah, don't do that. So, like, yeah, sodas, no, anything, you know, there's a lot of things I've been told no. And I've honestly never been on a prescription in my entire life. But based on 20 years ago, I was told all this information that I started following. I was told this by an American Indian spirit guide. But I don't even have his story in here because I was running out of, it's like, okay, this book cannot go on forever. And that's why there's a book 2.
Right.
Um,
Interesting, because that's one of my questions for
Oh.
you. Okay.
Okay.
Now, your second book, we've talked about it. And while this book is an accumulation of the 80, we'll just say, encounters that
Right.
you had with the other side.
hmm
Now, book 2 is kind of an extension, but you explained it was going to be a little bit different. Tell us
Okay.
what you mean by that.
So yeah, in book 1, I give you a tour through the house. I actually invite you into the house like I do when a person shows up and, you know, in person, we
Sure.
tour them through the house, tell a little story about this room and that room. So I tour you through the house. Actually, the mystery ghost gives the tour. And Mr. Ghost gives the tour. And if I could hold this book up,
Please do.
this man and the painting was found in our attic. And he speaks to me in riddles. Now, if you walk through the parlor with this man, he has the best, you know, spot in the house. He can see all the doors. He can see everyone. His eyes will actually follow. And now every single person has agreed, whoa, I just saw his eyes. It doesn't matter if you're sitting down over there, over here.
They catch a glimpse of them.
His eyes will follow you. And it's because there is a spirit attached to this painting. Okay, well, that spirit speaks to me in riddles in the book. Cryptic messages, which I would love the readers to help me solve some of these riddles and, you know, with the clues. So, okay, so this guy, like I said, was found in the attic. He was very disturbed when we found him because he was just thrown in a pile upside down, you know, this and that, covered in dust. So where was I going with this? Okay, second book.
All right.
Okay, so this is the tour through the house. Now, it starts with my brother and it ends, I think they call it bookends. It ends with my brother back in Mexico. My brother actually, the book ends with him recapping the last moments of his life, right down to the last tick, 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 tick. Because if you think about it, you're alive. And then in like a split second, you're not alive. You're
Here
dead.
they gone tomorrow.
Yeah. But I mean, even like 1 second you're alive and this is kind of hard for us to understand that. But he recounts this and then boom, he's on to in the afterlife. Then he starts telling what happens the moment, the very split second he dies, what happens next. Okay, so then he's in the afterlife. He's going up for his life review, which we've talked about. And then, okay, so that's where I'll end it. And don't be mad at me, but it ends on a cliffhanger. Okay, but the good news is it continues into book 2. And now book 2 is more about my brother in the afterlife. Now he's giving us an insight of what it's like over there in detail. Now on occasion, so they'll travel back to the Victorian to still continuing to hear stories because most of the stories in the first book are from the spirits of men for whatever reason. But I mean, I always have liked hanging out with guys. So that kind of makes sense to me. But the spirits of the ladies start showing up in the second book. And they have a lot of gossip to share.
Wow.
And then so you get to actually experience what it's like to be a spirit in the afterlife, but then you also still get to visit the Victorian and see what's going on down there. But the house tour is over, and it's just more about the afterlife and what is happening there.
So we were talking about the reality show that's
Mhm.
going to be planned.
Right.
Absolutely, without any question. We had talked about this.
Hmm.
The backdrop for the reality show
Oh.
absolutely has got to be that house. I mean, it sounds kind of weird to say,
Hmm.
and maybe some people can relate to it, they can, but I tell you, the first time I came to that house, I did feel something. I completely unexpected.
Right.
But you said that there's several entities that kind of hang out there, right?
Oh yeah. No, they don't hang out there all day because they would be
I
honestly
don't-
they would be bored.
But they do. They're
Yeah.
there from time to
They
time.
they pop in and out. They
Yeah.
actually don't like when I leave the house for too long. They like interacting with me, and they encourage me to have a cocktail. Which I mean, I was like, okay, I've drank more champagne in the last 2 years than I ever have. But they, for whatever reason, they like to have fun. Okay, they like to have fun. So, and there's crazy things that happen. I'll set a drink up, and next thing you know, the straw will actually move like an inch, like our cocktails, like a big cup with a lot of ice and I have a matching coordinated straw. That straw will actually move like an inch, like somebody just took a sip out of it. Like it's crazy. I mean, this book is like nothing else you will ever read, hands down, because there's no way. I mean, this took me 20 years of stories, and these stories are so crazy. Like it'll blow your mind. I mean, but they're fun. They're intriguing. Some are sad. Like the pet stories I found
Well, there's
sad.
no one that's really alike. They're
No.
all unique
They're all
with
unique.
different perspectives.
Just like we are. We're all unique.
Well, we are, but what
Yeah.
I'm saying is that the way you illustrate that, the way you put that forth, you made that very, very interesting.
Which again, I give them the credit. I'm just the girl typing it out, and these ideas. But I will give myself credit that I can clearly hear them. So I mean, I have actually had 2 friends that passed away who are writers. Another friend that passed away who was an editor. So I actually called on them to help me, to guide me. But I mean, I had to do it. But thousands of hours of work. But yeah, the story is that the house, the energy in the house, and the setting. See, they will be there when the show is being taped. But I already know it's going to be turned into a streaming series because they have it set up for 80
Yes.
streaming now.
Yes.
This book cover. So this book is a limited edition because I was guided after the book's published. Okay, we're changing the cover.
Tell
You gotta be
us
kidding
real
me.
quick because we're coming up on the end of
Okay.
our show. So, how can someone get a copy of your
Okay,
book?
this is exclusively found on Book Baby, and the reason is bookbaby.com.
.com.
Book Baby supports independent authors, and they have a higher quality of printing. So that's where you can find the hard copy. The ebook is all over the place. It's on Amazon, Barnes and Noble. Just Google it. It's on
Now, for the
different
purpose of
platforms.
this interview,
Mhm.
you have a website that they can contact you with
Okay.
stuff.
There's thedeadmandrinks.com, but I have set up an email for KXOK listeners, just thedeadmandrinks@yahoo.com. If you want to ask me, just write me a note or whatever. I can't answer personal questions about everybody that's died or be inundated, but
Right.
if you need to contact me, it's thedeadmandrinks@yahoo.com.
Well, we're coming up on the end of our show. We want to thank you, the girl with no name, for giving us a little insight into the Dead Man Drinks. A most fantastic read. I encourage our audience to get a hold of this copy of the book. They can also get it I believe, for the ebook too.
The ebook is available, and the audiobook will be available in a month.
Okay, outstanding.
But this is the last chance to get this cover. It's a limited edition. Like I said, I didn't know the spirits that be tell me, so I'm having the next book cover is going to be designed the same content. New book cover will be available in about a week, but this is the limited edition author's copy, basically.
Well, thank you again. Appreciate it. We look forward to having you again, and for your show coming up, your reality show on streaming. We look forward to seeing that, and we'll just be very, very excited to hear how you're progressing with
Thanks
this.
for believing in the story.
No problem. Well, thank you for tuning in on Movies and More. And as always, remember to take Mama to church this Sunday. I'm Stacy Hobus for Movies and More.